Hello again, everybody. Welcome to the Backbone Podcast, where common sense still makes sense in a world that is sick and only getting sicker. And ever since I started this podcast, it seems like many moons ago, it was only back in March, I've told you about Stoicism, and we've talked about philosophy, and we've talked about how the world is just lost. And it's lost because of a lack of connection to God. It's lost because of all these crazy feminism, communism, fashion, all these things. As I've said it at the end of my every podcast, if it ends in an ism, it's a mental disorder. And what you're looking at right here on the screen is the face of Satan. This is the face of a demonic, mentally possessed psychopath. The CDC recently released numbers that are discouraging. It's been happening in Europe for a very, very long time, but now it's happening in the United States, which is unusual because you think, like, with all these Black women and Hispanics, popping babies out left and right, that this wouldn't be the case. But it seems that the CDC has discovered that the birth rates in America are on the decline. Now, no civilized, mentally stable society would celebrate this, except ours, except feminism, because it's a mentally deranged death cult. And for this woman here, and I'm going to show you the video, to celebrate such atrocities, like not being a mother, not giving birth, not bringing children into this world, it just goes to show how much work we have in front of us, how in peril this country is, this world is, how in peril this race is. Because as I've told you many, many, many times, white women are the cancer of Western civilization. That is a cancer right there. Can you imagine waking up in the morning to that? I mean, it may look, on the outside, it may look good. You see her at a bar, she's wiggling. Believe me, she'll destroy you. She'll kill every ounce of purpose within you, because that's what her job is. That's what her nature is. She's from hell. Women carry hell within them. They don't carry love. You got to remember that. When the woman says that she loves you, she does not. It's just her way of keeping you at bay, keeping you on the leash. And this woman here, if you ever run into her, she doesn't love you. She'll never be committed to you, because she's refusing to do the one thing God put her on this earth to do, and that was to bring children into the world. It's a sad, sad state of affairs, and it just doesn't seem to, I don't know, it doesn't seem to be improving at all. And TikTok has done a magnificent job in exposing the fact that women should be seen and not heard. There was a reason why women were kept under wraps for thousands of years, and all the lies that they had positions in the Greek, the Greek city-state governments, and the Roman and Etruscans, and they had them in high positions. No, they didn't. Women are stupid. Women cannot hold positions of power. They're retarded, just like this woman here. Well, let's hear what Homegirl has to say as she celebrates the end or the decline of her race.
CDC just reported that the birth rate has declined. You're welcome. For the first time in U.S. history, there are more babies being born to women in their 40s than girls in their teens. Well done, ladies. Well done. There are more women waiting to have children until they are ready, and younger women are more focused on getting an education and a career before they start having families. Let's keep it going, ladies. Let's set our sights on another decline for 2025.
Now, she's wrong, of course. It wasn't teens, it was 20s. But, she's a woman. She's just a woman. She's not supposed to know what she's talking about. She's supposed to cook. She's supposed to clean. She's supposed to keep the house in order, and she's supposed to raise children. That's what she's supposed to do. She's not supposed to read CDC reports. She's not supposed to get a career. Frankly, she shouldn't even be getting an education. But when women talk about being in their 20s and 30s and getting an education and getting a career, it's AKA being a hoe. It's slutting yourself out. That's what she's basically saying. Go have fun. Go sleep with 75, 80 guys. It's okay. Do it. You'll love it. And for all these women who are waiting to have babies in their 40s, the CDC also reports that becoming pregnant later in life, 40 or well, not even this one. This report says 35 or above. Becoming pregnant later in life, 35 or above, can include an increased risk of miscarriage, gestational diabetes, fetal chromosome abnormalities, preterm birth, and stillbirth. That's from 35 and up. I don't know how old this bitch is, but if she's in her mid-20s, late 20s, she only has a couple of years left before she puts herself and her baby at risk. Women have an expiration date. They just don't understand this. They think that modern medicine is going to save them. We have seen over the last 2-3 years, all these dumb bitches who had their eggs frozen when they were in their 20s, right? Then they go slut around while they get their career in social work. And then when they're in their 40s, they want to have that baby. They go to some sperm bank. They unfreeze their eggs. And the eggs are too old. They're too old. So now they can't get pregnant. So now they're in their 40s. No man, no baby. They have a line of guys who, railed them to no end. And their lives mean nothing. Your life means nothing if you're just a fucking, a caseworker at a school. What are you going to show for yourself when you're in your 60s and you're by yourself and you're with your cats? And that's what psychofeminists do. They celebrate the worst. They don't celebrate greatness. They don't celebrate births. They don't encourage girls in their, and I'm not saying to get married at 20 or 21, 25, 26. You know what? You should be getting married and having kids. And I understand it's very, very hard in Trump's America right now, the United States. Everything is astronomically expensive. Houses in my area, which are not worth the price that they're charging, the prices that they're charging, are over $600,000. That's absurd for where I am. Absurd, especially with the type of new people. I'll just leave it like that. Who are coming in? A lot of the ninjas are starting to get here. Not a lot. But 18 years ago when I first moved down here, I only saw maybe one, and that was every so often. Now they're here. But again, psychopath feminists. Feminism is a death cult. And for promoting women in their 20s to get educated and focus on a career, it just means they want you to just keep your legs open. Spread your legs for anybody and everybody who's willing to dive in there. And there are guys who look for sex. That's what they do. But then when you hit 35, 36, 37, and you kind of hit that wall, and you can't find that guy, where are you going then? What do you do at that point in time? Where does the what's the end game here for you? You're 39, 40. Doctors are going to tell you, hey, listen, it might not be a good idea to have a baby. And if you meet a guy, most guys who are in their late 30s, early 40s, if they're divorced, they already have kids. They don't want to have anymore. They don't want to make another one. They want to go through that shit again of late nights and diaper changing and, pee-wee soccer and all that bullshit of waking up early in the morning on a Saturday. I mean, he's done with that. Or he's still raising the ones that he has from the broad that he married before. He doesn't want to do that with you. He just wants peace. He wants to go out with you on a Friday, Saturday night, spin you on the dance floor, throw a burger down your throat, get a little hump action, and then he wants to go to sleep. He doesn't want to worry about kids. He doesn't want to worry about diapers and wipies and birthday parties and all that bullshit. Those days are over. Those days are over for me. They've been long over. I mean, I got 2 more years and my kid's 18 and I'm outie scouty. But these bitches here, they don't realize that you have kids in your early to mid 40s. They may be mentally ill. They may have Down syndrome. They may have some neurological disease. And now you're going to be 65 years old with a 20-year-old retard who can't wipe his own ass. What are you going to do? How do you die in peace knowing that this kid's going to be left to his own, on his own when you're gone, or he has to be put in a hospital? There's a lot of that going on now. I see a lot of couples, a lot of older couples, especially in my town. They're in their late 60s, and they have kids that are mentally disabled. And they tell me the same thing over and over, each couple. I don't know what's going to happen to him after I'm gone. Because what are they going to do? They're going to put him in a state hospital. And those state hospitals, if you've ever seen any of them, they're a fucking nightmare. So to celebrate the fact that birth rates are declining and that women are so stupid that they would risk their lives and their babies' lives to wait until have babies until they're in their mid 40s, it just goes to show that women are the dumbest species on the planet. They just are. They should not, they are, let me phrase this properly. As I said before, they should be seen, not heard. We gave them way too much leeway. The minute you give them the right to vote, that's the end of that. And now you let them in politics. Look what Congress looks like. Look what the Senate looks like. You have these broads screaming and yelling, making fun of each other's hair and skin and eyes. It's a shit show. You have women running or trying to run companies, and these companies are dying. You put a woman in charge of anything. I don't care what it is. You put her in charge of a small business, a school district, a mayor of a small town, mayor of a city, governor of a state, president of a country, master of the universe. I don't care what you do. She will destroy it. Because that's all women do. They don't know how to do anything else other than what they were made to do. And that's to make a home and bring children and fill that home with children. They're not supposed to be CEOs. They're not supposed to be in the military. They're not supposed to be playing men's sports against men. They're not supposed to be, in politics. They're not supposed to be having a say in how civilization is run or how buildings are built. They can't do it. I don't understand why we forced them to do it. They've never done it before in their lives. Show me a civilization built by women. I dare you. Camelia Paglia, who's a gay feminist, but for a woman, she's pretty smart. I wouldn't say bright, but she's smart. She once wrote in a very controversial article that if the matriarchy was the head of civilization itself, then we'd all be living in straw huts today. we wouldn't have cities. We wouldn't have roads. We wouldn't have planes or cars or trains or rockets, because women aren't capable of engineering that. They're just not wired that way. And that's fine. That's great. But stop with the nonsense of trying to dictate how civilization should run. White women are the biggest culprits of this. Women in general always root for the underdog because they're emotional beings. They're not bright, they're emotional beings. And that's why they tend to lean liberal. Because they see blacks are, they believe that blacks are downtrodden because they're not as smart, and they don't have the best jobs, and they're not doing well in life. The same with Hispanics. And so they tend to navigate themselves towards the Democrat Party. A lot of these white women will navigate into bed with these people. It's all done not because of curiosity. It's because of guilt. And it's because they want to stick it to their dad, because most of these bitches hate their fathers. That's why they bring in interracial children into the world. I mean, there's no other reason for it. I mean, you'd have to be mentally disturbed to bring an interracial child into this world. But white women always have that stigma. They always have that fault. And they should not be able to express that stupidity, because it's ruining this country. It's ruining Europe. It's ruining the Western world. Now, as we showed yesterday, for some reason, France, Italy, I even believe England might have these women who are thinking like men. They're doing things that men should be doing. Giorgia Meloni and Le Pen in France. Meloni is in Italy. They're stepping to the plate. Now, will they deport all these people out of France and Italy? I don't know. That has yet to be seen. But for some reason, it's these two countries. France and Italy are very, very influential in Europe. If those two countries begin to implement this remigration, then all hell's gonna break loose. But why? We asked a question yesterday: why women? Why aren't men doing this? Well, because white men have this kryptonite called racism. They don't want to be called or labeled a racist, and they're terrified. And they're terrified of women, and they're terrified of white women. And they're absolutely terrified of black women. They will not go near a black woman. Black women start screaming and yelling, they cower. That's got to stop. That has to stop. When will it stop? I don't know. I don't know if it'll ever stop. But we are at the precipice of failure here. We're at it. Now, the other story I wanted to quickly get to is this horrific story that we covered the other day. And it's of the stabbing of this Ukrainian woman here. Let me see if I can get this. Bear with me for one moment. We hear audio now of this guy saying that he got a white girl, and he's proud of it. But forget about that. I want to show you the face of evil. This is another. This goes into what we're talking about. This is the judge that released this animal, this vermin, this scum, over and over and over again. What's her name? Her name is Teresa Stokes. She was behind the release of the murderer of Irina Zertroska. This person has no business being in any position of power ever again. First of all, It's not her fault she's in that position. It's every white Christian male's, heterosexual male's fault. And if that's a judge, judges used to look noble. Now they look like everyday shit. But this is another reason, another example of why we cannot have women in positions of power, because just like I said before, they think emotionally, not rationally. She saw this guy's rap sheet. Hit 13, 14 arrests. And you let him go? Violent crimes too. Now, I've always been a proponent that judges should be held responsible when they release criminals into society. They should. I think that judges are given way too much power, way too much authority. And they can do whatever the fuck they want without any consequence. They're talking about trying to remove this woman. I think they have to get the Senate or the state Senate to do this, and they have to vote on it. And they're probably not going to do that because there are women who are going to say it's sexist to do that. And most of those women will be white women. We saw the murder of this woman. Now the video of this horrific attack is all over the place now. The full video of this guy slicing this woman's throat and her falling down and blood all over the place and her dying in front of everybody, and no one helps her. There are people who look like that. This woman here on the train who refused to help her. I think the only way to save yourself, if you are a white person, is you must be racist. You must assume that every black person you see is a danger to your life and your family's life. I don't see how else we can survive this. Right? It's better to be judged by 12 than be carried out by 6. Especially with garbage like this in a robe, in a judge robe. We are in a very precarious situation here, and the water is not boiling, but it's starting to simmer a little bit, because it's not fatigue anymore. Now it's social media. The mainstream media can't hide things anymore. These stories are going to be coming out, and I'm telling you right now, black people need to understand this. If you're a black person that watches this, you need to understand this. It may not be you today, but it may be your children who pay the price for this. Because once white men get together and they say, fuck it with this race, I don't care about being called racist, your children's futures are in peril. They just are. Forget about businesses, forget about going to same schools, forget about all that shit. It's going to be like the South 1950s again. You're going to have churches being burned down. You will have white terrorist groups in this country targeting you, and they have more guns than you do, and they're just as retarded as most of you, and they will kill you. And it's coming, and it's scary, and that's my 2 cents. All right, my friends, thank you again for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Be careful out there. Be careful out there, my friends. Satan is always busy. We just saw 2 examples of it. Be a man, have a backbone, because masculinity and common sense are worth standing up for. And as we showed you, if it ends in an ism, it's a mental disorder. We'll see.